Here are 5 signs you've met a true INTJ, not a fake one. Number 1. They plan 10 steps ahead, and you can feel it. One of the unmistakable signs you've met a true INTJ is that eerie feeling they're always 10 steps ahead of you. It's like they're playing 4D chess while everyone else is stuck on checkers. You might be casually chatting about dinner plans, and their mind is already mapping out your next 3 conversations, the likely outcomes, and how best to pivot if something goes sideways. It's not just planning, it's strategizing at a level that feels almost superhuman. Their brain runs constant simulations, predicting moves, counter moves, and potential variables with surgical precision. And the craziest part? They rarely show the strain of juggling all this mental juggling. They're calm, collected, like a general surveying a battlefield from a distance, knowing exactly where every piece will fall. Sometimes you'll catch that look, the one where their eyes glaze over for a second, and you realize they're not just listening to you, they're processing 5 different scenarios in their head. It's like their mind has a built-in GPS that doesn't just calculate the fastest route, but the safest, smartest, and most efficient path with backup plans for every detour. And when they speak, it's not random or reactive, it's deliberate. Like every word is a carefully placed chess move, designed to advance a bigger plan you might not even see yet. You start to realize that they aren't just in the conversation, they're running the whole game behind the scenes. This kind of forward thinking can feel intimidating, like you're always a few steps behind in a race you didn't know you were running. But it's also fascinating because with an INTJ, you're not just watching a person, you're watching a strategist who's quietly shaping the future with every decision they make. So yeah, when you meet a true INTJ, you don't just sense it, you feel it. The plans, the foresight, the relentless mental chess, it's all there, pulsing just beneath the surface, waiting for the perfect moment to make the next move. If you're willing to delve even deeper into your personality type, we're excited to announce the release of our insightful books. In the first one, you can explore the nuanced dynamics of INTJ relationships and uncover strategies to foster deeper connections based on understanding and compatibility. In the second, you can gain clarity on navigating the intricate terrain of career choices with a guide tailored specifically for INTJs, offering actionable advice to leverage their unique strengths effectively, and finally choose the best career path. As a special offer for our subscribers, we have a promo code available for your purchase. Link is in the description below. Number 2. They speak in precise, no-fluff language. One of the dead giveaways that you're dealing with a true INTJ is their way with words, or more accurately, their way without wasting them. INTJs aren't chatty, they don't sprinkle their sentences with filler words, small talk, or meaningless pleasantries. If they speak, it's because there's a reason, and that reason is usually to inform, solve, or dissect. Picture this, you're telling a story, maybe excitedly sharing some detail, and the INTJ is quietly listening. When they respond, their words come out like carefully sharpened arrows, direct, efficient, and packed with meaning. They have zero patience for beating around the bush or vague nonsense. If something isn't worth saying, it simply doesn't get said. Sometimes this no-fluff communication can feel a little like being interrogated by a calm, analytical detective. Their questions aren't small talk, they are targeted probes, designed to understand the core of what you're saying, to identify gaps in logic, or to uncover what's really going on beneath the surface. But here's the kicker. It's not just about cutting through nonsense. INTJs use their words like tools, each one measured, intentional, and built to build something greater. Clarity, efficiency, progress. They don't talk to fill silence, they talk to move things forward. So, if you find yourself mid-conversation with an INTJ and wondering why it feels like every sentence is calculated, it's because it is. They're not being cold or rude, they're being precise, clear, and deeply intentional. And once you get used to their style, you realize it's not just efficient communication, it's a masterclass in how to cut to the chase without losing meaning. If you want fluff, you'll have to look elsewhere. But if you want sharp insight delivered with surgical precision, you've just found your INTJ. Number 3. They're incredibly independent, like lone wolf level. One of the most unmistakable signs you've met a true INTJ is the way they value independence. And I don't mean the casual, I like my space kind of independence. This is full-on lone wolf territory. They're the type of people who'd rather climb a mountain solo than tag along in a group hike where the pace doesn't match their own. INTJs thrive on autonomy, like plants thrive on sunlight. They want to do things their way, not just because they're stubborn, but because their minds operate best when they're in full control of the process. It's like their internal system runs optimally when they're the one steering the ship, making decisions based on their own logic, research, and vision. If you watch closely, you might notice they avoid crowds, big meetings, or anything that feels like unnecessary social glue. It's not that they dislike people, far from it. But working in a team with too many cooks, that's a headache they'd rather avoid. Their preference is to set a plan, follow it with precision, and keep disruptions to a minimum. And here's the kicker, when an INTJ actually asks for help or collaboration, it's a big deal. It means they trust you enough to let someone else hold the reins, even just briefly. So, if an INTJ turns to you and says, "Hey, can you take a look at this?" Or, "What do you think about this idea?" You're in a rare club. They've just lowered the drawbridge and invited you inside. This intense independence isn't about arrogance or isolation. It's about efficiency, control, and a deep understanding of how their minds work best. They're not just lone wolves for the sake of it. They're lone wolves by design, crafted to hunt their way through life's challenges with precision and strategy. So, when you meet an INTJ, don't be surprised if they seem perfectly content being their own island. That's not loneliness, that's power. Number 4, they have a secretly dry, deadpan sense of humor. One of the sneakiest signs you've met a true INTJ is that subtle, dry humor lurking just beneath their serious exterior. On the surface, they might seem all business, stoic, focused, maybe even a little intimidating. But if you listen carefully, you'll catch those little cracks where their wit shines through. It's not the kind of humor that demands a laugh track or a big punchline. No, INTJ humor is more like a perfectly timed eyebrow raise, or a deadpan comment dropped when you least expect it. It's subtle, clever, and sometimes so dry that you're left wondering if they just made a joke, or if your brain is playing tricks on you. This humor isn't about being the center of attention or cracking jokes for a crowd. It's a private club, an inside joke between the INTJ and anyone sharp enough to catch it. Missing it isn't an insult, they're just selective about who gets to see this side of them. Sometimes they'll use sarcasm as a way to underline a point, quietly mock absurdity, or just cut through the noise of small talk. Other times their humor comes out in the form of subtle irony or clever wordplay, delivered with zero change in expression, making it all the more hilarious to those paying attention. If you're lucky, they'll let you in on this secret language, and suddenly conversations get a little lighter, a little more fun, and definitely more memorable. But if you're not paying attention, you might miss the joke entirely and just think they're dead serious, which is exactly the point. So, when you meet an INTJ, keep your ears open and your radar tuned. That dry deadpan humor is one of their most charming weapons. Quietly disarming, unexpectedly brilliant, and absolutely unforgettable. Number 5, they're relentlessly curious, especially about how systems work. One of the hallmark signs you've met a true INTJ is their relentless curiosity, especially when it comes to understanding how things work. But we're not just talking about casual interest here. This is a deep, almost obsessive dive into the inner mechanics of ideas, systems, and concepts. Whether it's a new gadget, a complex software, a philosophical framework, or the inner workings of a bureaucracy, INTJs want to pull back the curtain and see the gears turning. They're fascinated by patterns, structures, and the invisible threads that connect seemingly unrelated pieces. You might start a casual conversation about a movie, and before you know it, they've spiraled into an analysis of narrative structure or the psychology of the characters. Or mention a new technology. and suddenly they're off researching patents, underlying algorithms, and potential future applications. This curiosity isn't random wandering, it's a focused, purposeful quest for mastery. They don't settle for surface-level knowledge. They want to map out the entire landscape, understand the rules, the expectations, and the loopholes. Their mind is like a vault, constantly filling with layers of data, theories, and insights. This can be intimidating if you're not used to it. They'll ask detailed questions, challenge assumptions, and often see flaws in systems that others never even noticed. But it's not criticism for its own sake. It's part of their drive to improve, optimize, and innovate. So, if you ever meet an INTJ and notice their eyes light up when you start talking about how something works, rather than what it is, congratulations! You found someone whose curiosity runs deep and whose mind never stops exploring. These videos will be really helpful for you.